Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stunt setting.
I think Joe's needs one.
Gosh, today we're joining you from Bargain Bob's Sensory Deprivation Chambers, which is where I'm going to descend right after the show today, Brandon. I don't want any spoilers. I don't want some jerks on the internet ruining the Batman for me. You know, I'm sorry. I'm hiding out. So
you're going to see it Thursday, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you only have a few days, and since you're such a Luddite, you won't be on the internet anyway.
No, I'm not. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbert, and our buddy Max back at the studio. If you hear that ambiance in the background, we're broadcasting live from the home show of the MidSouth, you guys. It's a lot of fun over here.
It's always a great time to be over here.
We did Tool Talk Radio earlier this morning. It was a lot quieter. It was before the doors opened, and it's going on all weekend, you guys. So it's been fun because usually Geek Tank Radio, we're behind the glass.
Well,
we're in the studio. We don't get to actually meet people that
they don't let
listen.
us out very often.
And I get to haunt you all.
Yeah, and Max is back at the studio just being as irritating as he can be.
This is the most snark that he's had since we started the show.
Absolutely.
Well, we can't get our hands on him, see? So
yeah.
Until next week.
He's safe.
So head over to the Agri Center and say hello to us. We've got a few little goodies here in the booth. You can get some Geek Tank Radio postcards and some different swag from Tool Talk. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, well, you guys, I'm not going to lie. We're 5 days away from the Batman. And Brandon and I have our tickets.
Dude, I told myself I was not going to get too hyped, too excited, but I have heard from one person who's seen it, and she didn't give me any kind of spoilers, but she said, "You liked the Joker. You'll like this."
Oh,
and
geez.
I was like,
I don't want to hear anything.
I was like, "Are you serious?" She goes, "You're going to like it." I was like,
well, that's the thing, Brandon, because I've sometimes just for kicks I will listen to past episodes of Geek Tank Radio.
Right.
Going back even 7 years, and it's funny how the world has changed. At least the world of geekdom, I think. I listened to one of our shows before The Force Awakens came out, and how naive we were, and how much we said this is going to be great for Star Wars, and how excited. And then years later, now everybody's fighting about that and everything. So. With this, I'm like, okay, this is either going to be the best Batman movie I've ever seen, or I'm going to be annoyed and heartbroken. But everything about it just seems right.
All right. You know how I feel about what we've heard about with the Riddler. It's like, well, we kind of based him off the Zodiac, and
right.
Bruce Wayne's. We got Pattinson channeling this person, and I've decided that usually when someone says that they're channeling something, if I just don't worry about who that person is,
right.
I'm good. I can immerse myself in just about anything these days and still have a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of going into the Batman like that.
Well, it's so obviously with 5 days to go, it's going to be a Batman-heavy episode of Geek Tank Radio. But later, one of our buddies, Scott J. Carroll, is in the house. He's going to be doing, I guess, Brandon, this is you're spearheading this. This is sort of a combination. This is a team-up, you could say. Between the Cooking Today show and it came from the international market.
We're going to call it a crossover between News Talk 98.9 and Geeky Side TV.
Okay.
So we're going to have Geek Tank Radio and teaming up with with Scott from it came from the international market.
Okay.
And we're going to be trying this new Starlight Edition limited Coca-Cola zero sugar drink. And they say it tastes like space.
Well, see, that's what does that mean? That could mean a lot of things. To me, that's a cop-out.
Right.
It could mean just about anything.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, I've had both the zero sugar and the fully leaded version of this. They definitely taste different. I will side with the zero sugar 100 times over the the regular.
Yeah.
But everybody I know who's tried one has hit me up with a different flavor combination at the beginning.
Okay.
So my thing is like I want to predict. I want people to predict what they think it's going to taste like, and then when they taste it, if they don't die, tell me what it tastes like to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, from NASA though, we know that from doing on spacewalks that space smells like burnt steak.
Okay.
Wait, we're not doing this segment yet. Let's not give away the whole.
I'm just kind of going.
I'm gonna say, you know what? If
I'm just kind of going. This is gonna be like burnt steak flavored Coke. I'm somehow scared and horrified.
See, what you're thinking is, no, you're absolutely, and NASA. I will say this: NASA is absolutely wrong.
Okay,
space doesn't smell like burnt steak. People who come back from space smell like burnt
all that
steak.
radiation.
Okay,
all right. Well,
I'm good.
All right. Well,
and urine.
Probably
lots of urine.
That's the kind of stuff we're going to be getting to shortly. Because
I can be just as pedantic as Allan Gilbreth.
Hey, but Brandon, because we, getting back to Batman, which is the real news of the day. Well, actually, it's the only one I care about. Let's face it. But Brandon,
I bet he lives through the movie.
From a practical standpoint, you're much more in tune with this stuff.
Okay.
I am determined to not have this movie spoiled for me,
Right.
which is a trick, because even if I go on Google to look for directions or something about Batman pops up. So
dude, totally.
Tell us how to avoid spoilers. When does the spoiler embargo end? And well,
I believe that the review embargo is over as of Tuesday when the first public showings happen. That's when the fan event is.
Okay.
I believe that as of midnight on Tuesday, people can start dropping their reviews.
Right.
I believe that's what the embargo is. Don't quote me on it, because even though I'm on this really awesome show on the radio and review things, people don't think I'm real press.
Well, I do. You got your press badge. So,
yeah, I know. It's like
okay.
But people don't sign me to review embargoes. So if I see it, that might be your biggest problem, because I'm seeing it before you.
Yeah.
But I'm only seeing it like 4 hours before you. You'll be in it when I get out.
Well, is it still a thing when you go to the movies? Because we always remember that Simpsons episode where he walks out and he goes, after seeing The Empire Strikes Back, where he goes, "Oh, I can't believe Darth Vader's Luke's father," right in front of everybody in line. Is that still a thing, or does basic dignity and courtesy keep? Because there's always that loudmouth jerk.
There are loudmouth jerks no matter what you're involved in, and there will be someone who will be trying to spoil the movie as he walks past the line that is waiting to get in.
Right.
I have found that the best way to do that is, if you're sitting in line, wear headphones, listen to your music, chill until you get there. And actually what's really good right now is that HBO Max, I believe, has the Batman radio shows.
Those are great. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Those are outstanding.
That is something amazing to listen to while you're waiting in line.
Yeah.
And you'll see everybody when it's time to start walking in.
Right.
So you won't hear the jerk who's going to tell you that, the Riddler is actually Bruce Wayne's father.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to try those kind of things.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're not getting paid from HBO Max, but of all of the Batman content I've discovered in the last 10 years, I think the Batman radio series is one of my favorites. Those things are really well done.
But I'm also a fan of, the typical, the old school radio shows anyway.
Right.
I love when, I'm at a convention and, some of the authors and everything are putting one on. It's so much fun to go in there and watch Allan be the villain and everybody else play roles that they're not suited for.
Theater of the mind.
Exactly.
So, well, it's funny, too, because that's kind of what that's what it started out as, and it's nice to see it coming back, because that's when it's at its best, when you use your imagination.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is I love everything about radio, but if you're going to tell me a good story, you're totally going to get me captivated. I'll be like, that 4-year-old kid sitting in front of his grandfather waiting for what happens next in total suspense.
Yeah, folks, radio is just a high-tech version of people sitting around the campfire 2,000 years ago, right, Allan? You were there.
Well,
you remember those days.
It is. You don't have to, the thing with radio, you have microphones. You don't have to speak up as loud.
Yeah.
And that way you don't actually alert the leopards and lions that you're telling the story.
No, it's fun.
Wait till you find out where we're broadcasting live from next.
Yeah, and folks, another practical tip I would give you, one of the nice things about today, it used to be, even just a couple years ago, Brandon, that you'd have to, if you wanted to go to the premiere night, like if you wanted to go see Batman, you bought your tickets early,
right,
but you had to get there hours in advance so you could get your seat.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of chatter can happen in that, and if you're sitting in the theater for an hour, the loudmouth behind you can do whatever. So my suggestion is nowadays you reserve your seats, which is great. Get there with like 2 minutes to spare, and if you have to, just put on headphones when you arrive, like noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah.
Allan doesn't care, but man, nothing. This is supposed to be a mystery movie, like a detective mystery.
It's a noir take on Batman.
Right.
So we've never seen that on screen before. Well, we saw a little bit of that with the old Batman serials, which I wasn't old enough to go to them. Allan was old enough to be kicked out of them.
Right.
But but I saw them later on when they were released on DVD a decade or so back.
Right.
And yeah, those were more well-rounded of what Batman entails in the comics.
Right.
And I think we're getting a little more of that with Matt Reeves' take on the Batman. It's the Riddler, the mystery behind why he's doing what he's doing. I can't wait to see the mob element. I've always enjoyed that part of the animated series, especially Carmine Falcone. And
even a little horror element.
I think that they did the mob guys terribly in the Nolan trilogy. It's one of the few things that I think he missed.
You think so? I didn't mind Falcone in that.
No, that's the thing, though, is they at no point were any of those guys scary. You should be afraid of mobsters coming in with
good point. Yeah.
And at no point were those guys even remotely intimidating. Even.
Yeah.
I'll throw Eric Roberts off a balcony and break his legs. I'm not that worried about it. I mean, seriously.
Or would you drive a pencil into that one dude's henchman or something? Okay.
If I need to do the right magic trick, absolutely.
Well, here's the thing. So Batman there's so much Batman content out there. I think when we come back, we're gonna maybe demystify a little of it. And we got a segment coming up. It's going to be called "That's Not My Batman." It's bound to trigger Allan for sure. Mm-hmm. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're here live at the home show of the MidSouth at the Agri Center. Come say hello to us.
Geek Tank Radio.
I hate these nerds. Just because I'm stupider than them, they think they're smarter than me.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
That guy shows up at the convention every year, and he just, he pays money, he comes in, I don't care, whatever. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our buddy Max back at the studio. If you hear a lot of racket in the background, that's I should say if you hear a lot of ambient noise in the background.
I was going to say, that's not in the background, that's in the foreground. I can see it before me.
Usually when we do Geek Tank Radio, we don't have an audience, but this time, I don't know, are they an audience if they're just walking by and
they're looking at you funny, therefore they must be interested in something.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we're here. It's funny because we were here this morning doing Tool Talk. It was a perfect fit. We're right here at the home show, which is a great fit for Tool Talk Radio. Of course, nobody was here because they weren't open yet.
The doors didn't open until 10. You guys were you're on the air, and
right.
Everybody who is anybody is trying to get their booths set up in time.
Now it's Geek Tank Radio, and everybody's here, and we don't fit it. So, but hey, we're 5 days away from Batman.
Geeks need floors.
Yeah. We're 5 days away from Batman, so obviously, what are we going to talk about today? I mean, Batman. We are going to get into.
We're going to talk about Captain America.
So, Brandon, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and so
which can get you in trouble, especially if you're trying to avoid spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be listening for the last. Yeah, I'm not listening. Until Batman comes out.
I will suggest a perfect podcast for you right now. They won't talk about Batman at all. That's the Mr. Baldwin podcast. And it's all true crime.
Oh, all right. Well, all right. I might give that a listen. But what I was going to say is I was listening to a podcast, and their thing is they go through every one of the old, starting with Detective number 27, is
right.
it? The first appearance of Batman, and they're working their way through. Every episode is about 30 minutes long, and they review a comic.
That's cool.
They've made an interesting observation because everybody has their view of what Batman is, and I already know Allan's going to rub his hands together because his thing is all about, upsetting the apple cart and making people, among them is the notion that Batman doesn't kill, which I support. I like to think of Batman as a character that doesn't kill. However, that sort of evolved because back in the day,
that was an utter and complete lie.
Well, here's the thing I couldn't figure out. Now, this is what I wanted to roundtable with you guys. So what they pointed out was early on, the comic book sellers, they were selling, a lot of adults read comics. I mean, it's still that way today, but they were gritty crime novels. They were horror.
I'm not trying to alienate any of our audience, but let's just be completely honest. Back in the day, a lot of adults read comics. Today, a lot of kids who reach their 40s through 60s read comics.
Okay, good point. Yeah, they can't set aside.
We don't, people back in the day adults who read comics kind of read them from an adult point of view. We all still turn into kids as soon as we pick up that issue. It doesn't matter how old we get.
Okay.
We turn back into that 8-year-old who picked up their very first Batman at a newsstand and was like, I don't know what this is, but it's going to be good.
Sure. Well, here's what I couldn't figure out, though. So basically, they said early on they came up with this idea for giving him a sidekick. And I mean, I'm sorry. I've always hated the notion of Batman having a sidekick, let alone a guy in the goofiest looking uniform. It is not going to protect him in a gunfight at all. It makes him a target. It's kind of creepy if you look at it on every level. But the thing is, Allan, they did not make Batman any more kid-friendly. In fact, he continued to kill people with Robin, so now it almost makes him worse. He's
Robin's just the bait. As soon as Robin came out, man, Robin was kind of like, all right, Robin, draw their fire and run across the street. And this guy in what would become a Village People uniform goes charging out across the street. Everybody starts shooting, and Batman magically appears behind them in the darkness.
Yeah. And that's
not a fair fight. Really?
That's why you get the young trained acrobat who can swing through the air with the greatest of ease.
It's going to need to.
That's going to freak people out. It's going to distract them. They're going to be shooting. Back in the day, criminals didn't know to lead their shots.
Well,
by that time, Batman's put them on their butt.
Here is the explanation I've always heard was they said the problem with Batman, if you're writing Batman, was that he has nobody to talk to. Okay, well, he's got Alfred. Why don't they, Dick Tracy had his little radio thing. Why couldn't they have just, made an earpiece or something in his cowl, and he could have talked to Alfred or somebody. The notion that he has to talk to a kid in a shiny,
Joe, hang on a second. What'd you have to
wait,
look
Max
at?
What'd you say, Max?
Or he could have edgy monologues with himself.
Yeah, he could talk to himself.
But
what does
you
Moon
have
Knight
to
do?
remember who he was being designed to compete with.
The Shadow?
Here's the thing with Batman. He has been around so long that there has always been an upstart competitor to Batman, whether it was doesn't matter XYZ comic book company. So every iteration of Batman was an iteration where they were trying to find that edge or trying to keep up with the Joneses. So Batman went from solitary crime figure, because that's what everybody was, like the Shadow. The Shadow was a solitary crime figure. You had all these characters, and then you had some team-ups, and the team-ups started doing good. So now you had to get Batman a Bat Dog or a Bat Girl or a Bat Boy or something.
Yeah, that's when they floundered, though. I hate to say that. The 50, they almost shut Batman down. It was so bad when it got to that. That was after the Comics Code was enforced.
Well, we could get into the Comics Code and seduction of the innocents and all that stuff, but we would need 2 hours and an explicit tag on our podcast.
Yeah, but
no, I mean,
keep in mind what was going on
right
around Batman. Every time you got a different Batman.
Well, I guess what I'm wondering, though, is it just sounds like they just threw a lot of stuff up against the wall to see what sticks.
Here's the thing.
Exactly.
That's how every, blossoming, good crime fighter goes. You look at anybody who's a major, character in either of the two big companies or even in the indies. The ones who've been around for a while, you go back and you read their first few issues, they are not the same. They've evolved. They have changed for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that Batman sales were down amongst young readers. They gave him Robin to increase those sales because you didn't want to your young reader to relate to the curmudgeon orphan who's now fighting crime.
Right.
You needed to give something that was a little bit chipper.
Well, I did have a thought too, you guys, and this is the other thing I wanted to round table, because I've always had a chip on my shoulder about Robin because I think it's the most ridiculous way.
Right.
Okay, I do think there is a way to incorporate young people into Batman in a legitimate way, and it's just basically do exactly like what Sherlock Holmes did. He had those the Baker Street. What was that called? It was all the group of like street urchins that were basically his eyes and ears. They would go all over London, and they were able to go places nobody else would because nobody paid attention to them, and they were like his
the irregulars.
The irregulars,
Or
yeah.
even like in the Book of Boba Fett, those of the bike gang that he had work for him.
Right. Yeah, do that, and you could still have them in court. And to me, it gives you more variety. It's always bugged me that he's, I don't know, it's, which is why I'm glad so far this new Batman.
Yeah, I really, I like the Robin, and I like the Batman family as a whole, but I can understand where Joe's coming from. God knows you'd never want to bring your kid to work with you.
Yeah.
All right, well, it
But
depends on
Joe,
what
you
you
do
for
bring
a
your
living.
kid to work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. My son Jeremy, he works with me building decks and things. But no, it's mostly just because Batman is such a brilliantly conceived character, even though he basically has been stolen from 50 different characters that came before. But it's just something about him that but let's put it this way: a lot of other characters wouldn't survive 80 years. With all the goofy things they've had Batman do, somehow he still endures. So there's got to be at the heart of it, he's a compelling character.
Well, he is a standard Byronic archetype. He is the sullen, damaged, yet moving forward character that, I don't know, the character's been redone 1,000 times. But as far as a comic book character goes, the Batman also appeals to a lot of people that felt they've been done wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
And in some iterations, the Batman is a normal, everyday human going to extraordinary lengths.
Mm-hmm.
In other versions, he is above other people because he's super rich.
Right.
Or, they just answered a whole lot of issues with, how does Batman have all this stuff? Well, he can afford it.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Right.
I love the one answer the Ben Affleck version gave to Superman. How'd you get the house back from the bank? I bought the bank.
Right.
It's
neater that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was never mind.
It was a simple, easy quote, but it really summed up kind of where those characters had evolved to at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I do like of what I've seen of the new one is we're going to be hopefully less special effects and more acting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about his site. It's about his personality because one of the things, one nice thing, Brandon, and I was hoping
he doesn't have one.
No, well, okay. I was hoping maybe later in the show you could give us some recommended reading because there's some basically there's every generation of Batman. There's things that we could do if you like Robin or whatever. So later in the show, I thought we could do.
I'm going to tell you right now exactly what everybody who's even remotely interested in Batman should read.
Okay.
There is a book, and actually there may be multiple volumes to it at this point. I'm remembering from being young, and I'm getting old, so therefore there's even more. But it's called The Greatest Batman Stories Ever Told.
Is that okay? I know I have that, but I'm trying to remember. Is that an '80s book?
I believe that the first release was back at just after Crisis, which would be in the mid '80s.
Okay.
But like I said, there's multiple volumes, and follow that up with The Greatest Joker Stories Ever Told.
Yeah, and you can get you can even get them online if you want to, right?
Right,
you don't
right.
have to. You don't have to just get the physical book.
I'm not gonna tell you, which service to use because they all have their pros and flaws. But the you can put. I would suggest going to your local bookstore that will order them, whether it's a comic shop or any bookstore will order to get your business these days. They can all get a hold of them through various retailers, and usually you can get them cheaper these days in omnibus form than you can even digitally, which is ridiculous in my opinion.
Right.
But it's just the way it is. And there's something about reading a comic in your hand.
Well,
and not on a tablet.
Yeah, I do agree. It's the kind of thing where it is nice to have a physical thing, and it's just something that you're going to kind of want to keep and pass down. But
honestly, if you want a Batman book that is going to be kind of in the vein of what you're fixing to see in theaters, pick up Batman Noir. I believe it's Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo, but don't quote me on it. I don't have mine in front of me, but it is definitely a more down-to-earth take on Batman. They also did a Joker book, which is phenomenal. You talk about things that do a deep dive on the Joker, that will nail it. They don't have one for the Riddler yet, but he does show up in the Joker book, which he's pretty cool in that.
Yeah, and I think because, people have gotten in the habit these days, it's like really, the comics have been kicked to the curb, and it's mostly about, especially in the Marvel universe, but it's like, it's good to revisit really well-written comics and remind yourself where these characters came from, so.
I mean, I'm a big fan of, telling people, read the source material.
Right.
Maybe see the movie before you read the source material, but definitely read the source material.
Well, that's what I was wondering is which do you do first? So because I've been warming up I've been watching a lot of animated.
I say books. Definitely hit it from the lesser medium. Okay. And when I say that, you can't put everything in a book into the movie. There's going to be stuff that is very important to the storyline that gets cut. Okay.
Well, we're gonna continue some of the Batman discussion later in the show, but we're gonna take a little break from that. Brandon, you're going to be spearheading a new, it's the Taste of Space, and you're teaming up with the folks from It Came from the International Market. This will be juicy. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
I didn't steal it. I made that item. Made it with the magic that I stole.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
That's the kind of circular reason Brandon is always trying to throw at me, Brandon. I'm sorry, man.
Well, I mean, honestly, I learned it from you working at the convention.
Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our buddy Max back at the studio, who sounds like, through the air I can hear he's got a spring in his step. He's really enjoying not having us around.
Well,
I mean,
you don't get to see the faces he makes when he's behind the glass behind you.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, Max, you're keeping the button, you're pushing the buttons and you're keeping us on the air.
I'm pushing somebody's buttons.
Yeah, so for that, we're thankful. And, of course, today we've been talking a lot about Batman, which...
But we're not going to talk about Batman anymore.
Right, I could do that all day, but let's be fair.
Believe me, we know.
Yeah. So, Allan, this is a sort of a team-up. You've got your hooks into this thing.
I do.
It's a video and audio team-up, basically. So tell us what we're about to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to introduce Scott J. Carroll and say, Scott, why don't you tell them about It Came from the International Market?
Well, thanks, Allan. I would love to tell everyone about It Came from the International Market. Also, hi, I'm here now.
Yeah. Scott's a good dude. I don't know why you team up with Allan, but
I've always figured that what happened was that Allan rescued Scott from a gang of ruffians when Scott was like 4.
Yeah, he's beholden to him for something because
he owes him something because he puts up with a lot from Allan.
Yeah, but I can't do acrobatics.
You have too much dignity.
That's
and,
okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
So our show, It Came from the International Market. It's a lot of fun. Allan goes to the international market and he buys things that we would never normally eat, and then we have to eat or drink them live on camera for the first time.
I'm still waiting for the day when he shows up with something that looks like food but isn't, and just to see y'all chew it like, it's like, why does it taste like erasers? Because it is.
I'm pretty sure we tried that. I think it came from Turkey.
Okay.
Oh.
But Brandon had an idea, and I am here at the home show with you guys, and I am down to try space.
Ah, yes. So Coca-Cola has started a new thing called Coca-Cola Creations, and they are going to be limited runs of sodas, altered flavoring. They've said that some of these may go on as long as 3 months. Some of them may only go on as long as 2 weeks, where they'll have an availability window. And this is the first one, and it is the Starlight Edition. We have the zero sugar, flavor here because that's just the one I preferred.
Did
And
you
they-
get this edition quickly?
I did.
Oh, so you got the Starlight Express.
I like it.
Oh,
yes,
no.
yes. This place is all full of dad jokes.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So, I ordered it as soon as CNN dropped the press release, and they told me then I couldn't have the zero sugar. I only could get the leaded. So they send me the fully sugared, and I try it, and I'm like going, okay, I got to make other people try this. And everybody who tried it gave me a different flavor combination off from their taste. And so I was like, all right, I got to get the guys from, it came from the international market, because while it didn't come from the international market, it did come from the local Kroger, which if you've been in a local Kroger lately,
Close enough.
close enough. I do like the fact that Kroger's branching out, and I can get things there that I used to have to hunt for at the the international markets, because I don't like driving too far away anymore. I'm lazy.
Yeah. So the
Anyway.
joy of this is kind of similar to what you said with international market. It's three of us that are usually trying something either really great or really terrible.
Right.
And we'll find reasons why we agree it's great or terrible that could completely differ.
Right. And I've watched you guys do it when you guys did it at the convention. I've watched the videos. I have seen the things that Allan has purchased for you and cringed many times at the very beginning of the video going, oh, this is not going to go well.
Shrimp crackers.
Which you can now get on GoPro.
Yes, you can.
So what we're going to do here is I have these micro cans. They're only 7.5 fluid ounces. I don't need
makes
you
it
to drink.
better.
I don't need you to drink the whole thing. I just need you to taste it. But before we taste it, I'm going to ask each of you what you think space is going to taste like, and I'm going to start with Allan. And I know he's going to give me the NASA answer.
Well, we've already talked about the NASA answer, and you pointed out it's not what space smells like; it's what you smell like coming back from space.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to give you that argument. I think we're going to go. Ooh, I don't know. We're probably going to get close to Ghostbusters.
Okay, so you're thinking
I'm
like
predicting
the Coca-Cola.
like the Stay Puft Gozer marshmallowy,
Okay.
cloudy, flavory kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm looking for something Swedish, I guess. Sweet.
Okay. I was going to say.
Not Swedish.
Yeah.
Sweet-ish. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, so in space, well, for one thing, you can't smell what it's like in space because you die with your helmet off and everything. However, if everything's like a vacuum, maybe there is no smell. Like you said, you're smelling the barbecue of the astronaut that was exposed to radiation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just my one.
Radiation smells great.
Right. But so my first vote is there's a lack of smell. But my second thought is with Coca-Cola, this is going to tell us, whatever this actually tastes like is going to tell us a lot about their perceptions of space. Is this going to have a twinkly, sweet kind of whatever smell that makes you think of, I don't know what, like something shiny and bright? Or is it going to have a dark and gritty, which is what it should taste like, although it would be less appealing? If it tastes like an ashtray,
no
it's
one
not
can
going to
hear
be
you gag.
right. So,
All right, Scott, I'm gonna move on to you because Joe's rambling now.
Yeah.
Well, based off the colors on this can and what it looks like, I'm thinking it might have some kind of like mixed berry or kind of berry flavor.
Okay.
But, I'm iffy on that.
All right. So you guys ready?
Yep.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yeah. You're gonna hear the thing gurgle basically.
oh, that was a good one.
That was a
All
good
right.
snap.
Here you go.
Yeah.
There goes this one.
All right.
All right. Was Joe going to pop his?
Oh,
Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
Joe.
I didn't know that was mine.
Joe,
so-
you're in on this.
Yeah. Okay.
So here we go.
Yeah.
So-
Interesting smell.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you guys actually sniff things
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
wine
yeah.
or
Yeah.
something. So
They're coat
It's a
sommeliers.
unique bouquet.
Yeah. Well, it definitely has a.
All right.
all right. Are we supposed to say honestly if we don't like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't expect you to like it. You don't like anything good.
Well, hey, for fair warning, if you're from Coca-Cola, I drink a Diet Coke every morning.
Right.
That's so I'm loyal on that end, but I can't say I'm a fan of this one.
Okay. But what did you taste?
I tasted like it reminded me of the gum in the Bazooka Joe bubblegum packs
Okay.
or something. So it tastes it doesn't taste like, it tastes very artificial.
I can see where you got that, but you're wrong.
Okay.
For me, very specifically, this is very specific. It tastes like you made a s'more and then took the marshmallow off and are eating just the marshmallow.
Right.
Because you've got a hint of the graham cracker, but there's some s'morishness.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
S'morishness. I hear now that you're saying it. I do pick up on
And the
that,
more
so.
it sits on the tongue, I'm getting like a cotton candy aftertaste.
There you go. Yeah. I don't like it, Brandon. It tastes
I didn't
way
expect.
too heavy.
I didn't
so,
expect
yeah.
you to.
Okay. Yeah.
Scarily,
Uh-huh.
it is exactly what I expected. It is somewhere halfway between Joe and Scott. It has a.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Right.
It's that cotton candy, marshmallowy kind of. You know that sweet that's one step off of good sweet.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave your tongue.
Okay. Now you've had your first drink.
Yeah.
Try it again, Allan.
I'll say, here we go.
All right. Let's try.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
what is it? Why does it taste different the second time?
Because it's space. What I figure, this is my personal opinion on it, is that your first taste is exactly how the campground Yankee Candle smells. It tastes like a s'more.
Yeah.
And a little bit of camp ash.
Oh,
But then the
goodness.
next one is almost kind of a overly sweetened Fruit Loop.
Do we know if there's that miracle berry stuff in this? Because that could explain why the taste changes.
It might have
Well,
something to do with being
it
exposed
does
to
say-
oxygen, I guess.
It does say fruit and vegetable juice for color,
Ah.
but
It also says phenylalanine.
yeah, so it might kill you. I mean,
I'll give
Just
it
like
this.
space.
A larger sip of this does ease more towards Diet Coke.
that's because you're getting the zero sugar.
Right. It does ease over towards the Diet Coke, but it still has that, again, sweetie taste that's that one notch off of good sweetie taste.
Are you ready for your mind to just completely implode?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm
Take
here.
a third drink.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going, guys. We're
God.
going
All
for the
right.
third
Hang
swig
on.
here, I know. So,
Hang on.
so we're gonna,
All right. Hey, we're on the air, you guys.
Huh.
You get, okay.
There we go. All right, there we go.
Interesting.
Kind of brings back a little bit of the first.
Yeah,
flavor.
it's what are you doing? What did you do to us?
I am magic.
What? How?
I stole that magic.
Yeah,
How
still got
did you-
that funky marshmallowy.
Yeah.
Don't hold it in your mouth.
Yeah, no,
Don't hold
no,
it.
no,
Don't
no.
hold
Drink
it.
it.
It's,
Do not
yeah.
savor it. It's not wine. You're
No.
not spitting it back into the cup.
No, it is
No.
not. It is not wine.
No.
I promise you that.
It is. Oh, I'm gonna.
I'm gonna stick with my original statement. It's that just.
For you adult listeners out there, it makes an amazing mixture.
Oh, I'm sure
I
it does.
imagine. Yeah, I'm leaning towards there might be some kind of miracle berry stuff in this, but it would be interesting to have something similar to this with the whole panel from International Market, because I would like to blow their minds.
All right.
Well, is anybody going to buy this? Are you guys going to buy this?
Dude, I'm sitting here with a 20 ounce right in front of me. I have bought a ton.
Okay.
I'm not
I don't know,
gonna.
it's one of those
No.
weird, kind of like you don't really like it flavors that's horrifyingly going to grow on you.
This is
Okay.
Mountain Dew Johnson City Gold all over again.
All right. That's drop the mic material right there. Well, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. I don't know. We'll talk off the air. We're going to take a quick break and figure out what we're going to do next.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
That pretty much describes my feelings about that new Coke flavor.
That's
I don't like it at all,
That's
man.
just Joe's opinion right there. But
That's Joe's opinion on everything.
No, that's my emotions about not being able to torment you all anymore today.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, Max is really
So
missing us.
sad, Max.
Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass back at the studio, and our friend Scott J. Carroll, who Allan really works much harder than he needs to. He's sort of multi-purpose.
You can't blame Allan for all of that. I've seen what Scott's resume's been like just since he's been in Memphis. You had like 74 jobs.
It's added a page. It's added a page to the resume.
Hey, Scott, we didn't bring it up, and I don't want to start a long conversation because we got things to do, Alan. But
he wants to talk about Batman again.
I want to just round it out. But Scott, I'm a big fan of your story time on Geeky Side TV.
Yes,
your story. Just check them out, folks. I'm not going to even say anything else about it. They're very well produced. I like how you take the mundane and make it entertaining, and they're nice, digestible episodes, maybe 10 minutes long.
All right.
Yeah, 10's probably the longest, but they're all things that have actually happened. And it's that banality of life when you turn it around to realize how absurd everything truly is.
Right.
That's when you just get to have fun.
Right. Well,
as good as those videos are, though, I'm going to say that if you get a chance to, and you hear that Scott J. Carroll is going to be somewhere doing improv or telling stories, you need to try and be there because there's a bigger energy when he's actually there. We had him doing both storytelling and improv at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention this past November, and my goodness,
yeah. Well,
it's just.
Scott,
You know how to control an audience, sir.
Please, my head can only get so big.
Scott's a dynamic thinker. So, Scott, we want to round out today. It's look, Alan's gonna steer the conversation to food. I'm steering it to Batman, and so let's round out.
So we're gonna roast Batman.
Well, between us and Alan,
Tastes like chicken.
Alan probably shouldn't even be in on this because he doesn't like anything. He's kind of like Mikey from Life Zero.
Wait, Alan's the one who doesn't like anything?
However, there's always new Batman fans every generation. There's a 13-year-old kid out there. They're on the fence. Should I watch Batman? Should I not? So I'm going to just give out a few of my recommendations real quick in a way to get ready for the new Batman movie. You guys feel free to chime in with yours, and this is just in no particular order. I would say if you're interested in the psychology of Batman and seeing something that's probably going to have a similar texture to the movie that's coming up, I would read any of the first 50 or 100 issues of the Legends of the Dark Knight comic book.
And you got to do this by Thursday, people.
It came out in the early 90s, well, actually late 80s, and it really it shows Batman when he was a rookie, basically, and it's very similar to what we're going to see here, and it really dives into his mental state, and it's just they're all really well written.
And if I'd care to delve into mental stuff as well, I would recommend my personal one is Arkham Asylum: A Serious House on Serious Earth by Grant Morrison. That kind of what I like about this comic too is it kind of develops Arkham Asylum as a character and everything, because Gotham is very much a character and everything.
Absolutely, that was on my list, Max. You're 100% right, and the artwork fits. It's very interesting. I know people are of mixed emotions about that book, Brandon. I mean, are you a fan? Because I love it.
It is a great read through, especially if you want to delve into the history behind Gotham and especially Arkham Asylum. But it can be a slog to get through if you're not big on reading. If you want to look at something for the pretty pictures, it's got the beautiful art. But it's one of the deepest Batman reads you'll ever go into.
It's fascinating, and it's very subtle too. So it's like you make sure for one thing you have good lighting when you're reading, because the art is very subtle. But it might take you 5 minutes to look at a picture and see everything that's in it. It's so detailed. So another one that I think is going to be in keeping with the tone of what's coming up is The Long Halloween. It's a 12-part series. You can get it in one graphic novel, and actually this is one situation, Brandon, where the animated version of this translated beautifully. You and I are big fans of that, and it's on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max. It's in 2 parts. Has HBO put up one that's edited together yet?
I don't know. I watched them both.
It really doesn't matter. There's such a seamless jump from the first part to the second part. It is one of the best modern animated DC films. This past era of DC films haven't been great, but this one knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, this one is outstanding. So, and then my last one I would say is The Mask of the Phantasm, which is an offshoot of the animated series, and even almost 30 years later, that thing still holds up. It's great. So those are my recommendations.
The story of Andrea Beaumont and her tentative relationship with Bruce Wayne.
Yep. Very good, but what do you guys got? What do you want to throw in?
If I'm going to tell you to actually just specific stories to read for the Batman, I'm not going to go. I'm going to say Batman Year One. You need to read Batman Year One, which since this movie is basically Batman Year Two.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to get an interesting look at, both Batman's formative years as well as Catwoman's.
Yeah, no,
And
that is
year
a
one.
classic, too.
I will also recommend, which doesn't have really any bearing on the upcoming movie, I recommend reading The Killing Joke and follow that up with a 2-week break and then read The Three Jokers.
Three Jokers is very good. The Killing Joke, it's don't let
It's
your
hard.
10-year-old read it.
Yeah,
it's pretty grisly.
it's pretty gritty.
Yeah. So Scott, where do you fall? What's your go-to Batman?
So
He's going to say Moon Knight.
admittedly, I didn't read as many comics. Most of my absorption was through the animated series,
Right.
movies, and TV shows. I would say, honestly, seasons 1 through 5 of the animated series, when it was
Okay.
still being produced by Fox,
Right.
and Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh yeah.
All like the early Batman, the early animated series Batman, you get some heavy stuff for what was at the time a kids show, but you get a good look into Bruce Wayne Batman, because one of my gripes consistently was we don't see enough Bruce Wayne in presented media like movies, shows. We mostly see Batman.
Right.
And I always liked that dichotomy, that dynamic of how would Bruce do this as opposed to just and the animated series gave us a little more Bruce.
Right.
And you do get a good look because one of the early episodes, there's an actress who was on Soap who was doing a guest voice for the episode, but she basically calls Batman out about who he really is, who Bruce or Batman. It's great. Those are absolutely the ones that I recommend.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you can't go wrong. And the animated series, you talk about something that holds up. Even now I watch it, and it's just the way they did that, like where they basically started with black paper. That's how they get that crime, and then they draw, and the whole thing about it's just it holds up, and it's I'd call it fundamental Batman. And that's one where I actually don't even mind Robin. Like in that one, he's kind of cool.
Yeah,
before they switched studios to WB, it was still
When it went from Batman the Animated Series to The Adventures of Batman and Robin, the art style changed, the writing fell off, and it just wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
But-
Interesting. Hey guys, I just got a special word. This is coming hot off the press. You guys get an extra 20 minutes of Geek Tank. We're not closing. We're not going anywhere, folks.
Yay!
Keep your dial tuned in to 98.9 FM. We're going to be back. I guess we have some bonus Geek Tank.
Bonus
Stand
material.
by.
Geek Tank Radio.
Gods, leave us.
News Talk 98.9. The roar of Memphis.
Can we say, Allan, leave us? No, I'm just just
Wow.
kidding,
Let's
Allan.
see.
No.
What does this button right here do
Yeah,
again?
that's it. Well, your finger's been hovering over that button. So, hey guys, welcome to a bonus content, 20 minutes or whatever we're gonna get here of a bonus Geek Tank. I wasn't expecting that.
Hey,
They
Scott,
just
riff
handed
for
me, if you're just
All
tuning,
right, I'm back.
yeah, if you're just tuning in and you're waiting for the pregame for basketball, sorry, you got us for the next few minutes. But hey, if we are down here
We
at
do
the
apologize.
home show of the MidSouth, we're doing it live. We've actually got an audience, if you want to call it. It's sort of odd. It's almost like we're in an aquarium. And it's like we're in a zoo and people are walking past.
I can't think of how often I've wanted to drown Joe in a fish tank.
Yeah, it's kind of, you get, what is it, if it's an audience for 5 seconds or 20 seconds, it's,
Well, we've accused Joe of being a goldfish before.
All eyes are on us, bro.
Yeah, so it's a different experience, and Max is back having a riot. He's kicking his feet back over at the
He is so
studio.
sitting in our chairs. He's like playing
in
on
his
the
PJs.
board.
He doesn't have shoes on.
Right, yeah, he's probably sitting in our chairs just to show us that he can.
Yep.
But we got our buddy Scott J. Carroll here, who's a fixture over at Geeky Side TV, and we've been weighing in because, let's face it, I know in terms of excitement, Brandon and I are super excited about the new Batman movie coming up. And Allan, I think Allan is too, but he's never going to admit it.
No. Allan's excitement comes from the idea of dashing your dreams next week on Geek Tank Radio.
Yeah, I mean, Allan, that's the hope, because if this...
I've crushed his dreams many times before.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is bring up the Cubs and just watch them sink.
Okay. If this Batman movie isn't like the greatest Batman movie ever, I'm going to find it disappointing only because of how I've built it up in my own mind.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, and plus, the thing is, it's like,
And if I end up not liking it, I'm going to blame you as if this was revenge for Terminator Genesis.
oh gosh, okay,
Ow.
that's a deep cut,
Oof.
folks. Just go back.
Oof.
But anyway,
Let me just let everybody know. I went and saw Terminator Genesis at a midnight sneak preview. It was horrible. So I told
Yes.
Joe and Laura they have to see this. This is an amazing movie. I just didn't tell them it was amazingly bad.
We left out an
You
adjective.
wonderful monster, you.
yeah, Brandon's got this ongoing thing of
Yeah, I'm not
confusing
getting into
me.
heaven.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
It's just not happening.
but here at Geek Tank Radio, at least I do. I take our role serious as being informative, and there's people out there that don't know as much as you do about Batman, Brandon. We might be the hinge that either gets them into the Batman universe or sends them away packing.
No.
Alan's going to be the one to tell them to watch the '66 Batman, and that's not.
That is a good thing to do.
No,
But the hinge is going to be the four of your friends all went, we got tickets to the movie, you're going.
okay.
That's how that person winds up there.
You
Brandon-
haven't been out of the house in a month?
Yeah.
Come on.
Scott gave us some good recommendations in terms of Batman the Animated Series. You cannot really go wrong. Although I will say, by season 4, when they changed art styles and changed the whole tone, they lost me on that. So I would say the first 3 seasons for sure. We've given you some recommended reading. But Brandon, how about this? I know you're big into the Bat family. So if you wanted to encourage somebody to read something with good content with Robin.
Right now,
Go ahead.
there is a miniseries going on. The first 5 issues are out. The 6th issue will be out later in March, and that is Robin's. It deals with there's a mission that Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Damian Wayne, and Stephanie Brown are all working together. They've basically been set up by someone who may or may not be the proto Robin, the first test Robin, who failed their gauntlet. And you get to find out the gauntlet for each one of these characters. You also get to find out what would have happened, what the perfect life for these characters would have been if they'd never become Robin.
Okay.
Wait, this sounds like It's a Wonderful Life or something. So.
It is. There's a lot of mental manipulation in order to try and break these characters.
And that's a new. Is it a miniseries?
Yeah.
It's like okay.
One more issue.
There's
There's 6 issues total.
There is one thing that I have been noticing in an increasing way with comics and with comic book media is it's opening the door for a lot more access to genuine psychological issues.
Oh, yeah. And
it lets people explore and express these things in a much more approachable way.
It's
Yeah,
true.
that's
It's true. And there's actually a lot of books that have been published on things like psychology and Batman, the philosophy I can speak English. Philosophy of the DC icons. The paragons of Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and Flash, Martian Man, and all those characters. They fit the mold of the pantheon, and how all that also relates to the various conditioning we've gone through with our mental states as we've grown up.
One of the wonderful things, and I really wish I could see more of this, is watching psychologists and psychiatrists approach a subject and go, okay, let's look at this from this point of view.
Right.
From the point of view of the psychiatrist or the psychologist, what is Batman doing in this moment? Is he compartmentalizing? Is he rationalizing? Like, that adds this unique extra layer and depth to something that we didn't see there before.
Huh. So you've read the Psychology of Batman, because that's exactly what you're describing right now. That is an outstanding book. I have the audiobook version. I think I did a review of that last year.
You did.
It's yeah, you're right. You're right, Scott. It's a vehicle to tell really complex and interesting stories.
It also, strangely enough, comics have also been a great way for people to deal with their issues like anxiety, depression, trauma. Definitely with trauma. The problem is that if you are introduced to these same books that can be helpful in the wrong fashion, it can help you basically justify your bad behaviors. How many people have we seen go, oh, my relationship goals are the Joker and Harley Quinn?
No,
they're not.
No, they're not. No.
If your relationship goals are to basically gaslight and physically beat your significant other, you are on the wrong path.
Your relationship goal should also not be Romeo and Juliet.
No,
they were two
no.
14-year-olds who didn't know what they were doing.
Nope.
And wound up dead.
Well, 6 people wound up dead.
And for those people who go, well, Harley was smart. She got away from him. She's with Poison Ivy now. Pamela Isley is just as mentally abusive to Harley Quinn over the course of their relationship as the Joker was physically.
I don't know, man.
I've read way too many comics.
Yeah.
Well, and I've studied behavioralism, so I mean, you know where my brain goes.
Well, now I will give the animated series a little credit. I did enjoy the Batman Beyond.
Oh yeah.
That's because you want all those gadgets.
Well, A. What do you mean one? B. Those were just prototypes. It was nice to see the Bruce Wayne character not as the savior.
Yes.
Bruce is now 80-something years old and on a cane, and this is the smart aleck little protege that is kind of taking things his own direction.
And what's really great about that is the fact that Bruce has already run off everybody else who worked with him.
Yes.
You know, Dick Grayson doesn't want to be anywhere near him.
Yep.
Tim had a massive trauma when it came to dealing with the Joker. Barbara resents him.
Right.
It's just, yeah.
Now, what was fun about that, though, is you did not truly have a partnership. You sort of have a mentorship. But, you know, you have two characters that are driven to do basically the same thing for drastically different reasons.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, you know, when he can't take action, you know, seeing Bruce Wayne kind of, I don't know, man.
And the
where it's all about his brains at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Bruce Wayne being the intellectual that he was supposed to be.
And then, you know, finding out later on that, you know, Terry McGinnis, he's got a little brother. He's got a mom. His dad did get killed in the very beginning.
Right.
So he has that, you know, avenge my family situation, just, you know, not completely. And then to find out later on in Justice League Unlimited, towards their finale, that his entire creation was manipulated by Amanda Waller.
Yes.
Right.
She stole Bruce's DNA and injected it into a baby.
Yes. Well, see, now you brought up a character that persists throughout the DC universe with Amanda Waller.
Yes, the Wall.
And she is an amazing character in manipulation, power, government, behind the scenes.
And the idea that she will stare Batman into his beady eyes and not miss a beat because she ain't afraid of it.
Well, no. She's... I think her character has been well represented on screen and in character, at least by the actress who played her.
In most cases, yes. Yeah. Whether it be CCH Pounder playing her in the animated series or Viola Davis playing her in both Suicide Squad movies as well as Peacemaker.
They're both just powerful presences, those actresses.
Not so much as she was utilized in the Green Lantern movie, but we don't talk about that movie unless we're in a Deadpool movie making fun of it.
Yeah. It just make sure the suit's not animated or green.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, there's one more I want to recommend too, because before we get out of here today, there's an animated Sub-Zero. There's an animated movie, and it's got Mr. Freeze. It is a full-length movie. It's got a little Batgirl in there, but what it showcases, in my opinion, which is some of my favorite Batman, is that he's a compassionate character, and he actually among other things, Batman at his best. The stories I like the best are where he has a level of compassion, and he uses violence scientifically. Yeah. He doesn't go after these. He doesn't go after a bunch of street thugs with "I'm just going to break their face." Right. I'm going to make this guy's arm hurt for 5 hours, and or this other guy. I'm going to scare him He's 19 years old. He's some rookie. I'm going to scare him to where he's never going to try this again or something. And it's not about anger. It's about rehabilitation, you could say, which is very interesting.
There's a lot of really good stories behind that. If you're a fan of Red Hood or Jason Todd's Robin, the whole thing was he was a street thug. He got caught stealing the hubcaps off the Batmobile. That's how Bruce meets him.
Yeah.
Bruce trains him, but he's got anger issues. Of course, that leads to recklessness, which eventually leads to his death at the hands of the Joker. And then there's punching of walls and dead people coming back, but that's because DC crises get weird. But we found out, you get to see Bruce's compassionate side a lot, especially in stories that deal with Mr. Freeze. In the animated series, he tries to help Victor save his wife
multiple times.
In the movie, Batman and Robin, it's the only good thing about that movie is when he he lets Victor know that they got there in time to save Nora.
Right.
We most recently a storyline that's running through Tim Drake's storyline that's running through Batman Urban Legends, where he's coming out as bisexual, and he's so scared to tell Bruce because Bruce has been like a father to him. Well, in the midst of all this, they're also dealing with the fear state, stuff that's been going on in Gotham, and people are angry with Batman because he wasn't able to protect them. And he goes into a group of people, and he basically just lets them unload on him, and then he hugs the guy. Okay. And of course, he tells Tim at the end, he's like, "You don't ever have to worry about it. I'll always be proud of you because you're my son." You get to see that side of Bruce where he has made those connections. Without the Bat family, Joe, I don't think he would have ever been that character. He would have been the angry curmudgeon, loner alone in the cave because he would have eventually run off everybody, like he does in Wayne of Gotham by Tracy Hickman, which is my last Batman recommendation for this episode.
Okay. All right.
It's a great story that deals more with Thomas and Martha Wayne than it does with Bruce, but it's seen through his eyes as he's learning more about his family's past.
Well, folks, if you've got strong feelings about Batman which I didn't want to turn this into the Batman podcast, but let's face it, how often does a new Batman movie come out and how often does something...
Every 3 to 4 years.
Every so many years.
Yeah, but this one's different. This one just seems like it's going to be different. So go over to Geek Tank Radio to our Facebook page. And,
as long as he doesn't sparkle, it's going to be great.
Yeah, check it out. Send us your messages.
All
Let us know what you
I've seen
think.
with him have been so good.
He's a dang good actor.
He's an amazing actor.
I don't care what
continue, Joe. We're having a side conversation.
Yeah, don't let me interrupt.
Yeah. We're just on the radio,
And if you want to check out any of our past shows, go to our Spotify. That's always good. But go to geektankradio.com. Go to the Facebook page, and we like to hear from you. And sometimes even Brandon will bring up other topics that are in the news or topics that are worthy of debate or something like that. So I mean, it's fun.
Are we talking about the Facebook page?
Yeah, well, among other things, so yeah.
I really got to update that more often.
Okay, all right. Anyway, but stay in touch, and especially this week. This is going to be a pivotal week, and I'm staying clear of the internet. You're not going to catch me anywhere near it.
I live on the internet. I have to fight with people on Twitter, or else I can't get through my day.
Okay.
So you'll fight on Twitter, but won't fight on Facebook?
It's a response time,
Okay.
It's the internet. It's instant.
No. Facebook is algorithm sucks.
And you got better insults on Twitter.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Scott, are you going to see the movie? I didn't even ask. Are you seeing Batman?
What's a Batman?
Whomst? No. I'm probably gonna go see it. I did watch the.
Probably. Get him out of here. Okay.
No. I watched some of the teasers. I watched some of the stuff that's come out so far, waiting for it, and I do agree with what you said earlier. It does look. It does look a little more grounded. It looks a little less special effect heavy, more realistic in the sense of I can see this situation happening in this type of place. And like we were just having a wonderful side conversation about Robert Pattinson, I think he's a great actor.
He's awesome. I had never had any problem with him playing the character.
No.
And hopefully, I'm kind of hoping that in this one, like we talked about earlier, we get a little more Bruce.
It looks like we're gonna. I mean, it looks good. And honestly, a big hats off to Matt Reeves because they didn't just give the whole thing away. knock on wood.
Well,
if there's a murder mystery in there, they still got a lot of secrets that they've kept. So,
right.
like I said, just I'm going to hunker in. I'm not going to talk to anybody for the next week till I get to see this, and then we'll report back, and I'm sure we'll have a spoiler-heavy discussion.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm really hopeful
give them
for
this
it.
for the trailers. They did choose their scenery carefully,
Yeah.
which made a huge difference. They gave you enough to enlighten you as to kind of what you're in for.
Right.
But, there are a lot of times you look at the movie trailers and you kind of go, give me 2 more minutes and I'll write the end of it on here, and that was every best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And you do not get that feeling from this one. You're looking at this going, oh, I think there's something going on here.
Oh, yeah.
I want more.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you guys, it's been a lot of fun, and we're going to be here all weekend, I guess. We're here at the home show of the Mid-South. Come by and say hello to us. But, guys, it's time to get out of here. Time waits for no one. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Dorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Scott J. Carroll.
And I'm Brandon Olmsted, reminding you to stick with us for Memphis Tiger basketball.